We've got Merritt Centennials Director of Hockey Operations and Governor Brian Barrett on the line with us. Brian, you're down at the league meetings there in Vancouver. Maybe let us know what exactly has been going on. And I mean, it's difficult to sum up, I guess, but what's been on the agenda?
Well, Brian, a lot of it is just house cleaning stuff that we have to do every year with dates in our Constitution and that type of stuff. So a lot of that was done yesterday, and today we're doing a lot of the stuff in regards to the 12 new points that the steering committee put in effect for this year. And certainly there's been a lot of controversy over those points over the last few weeks. And, we spent a great deal of time on it today, making sure that everybody understood that those points are in place and that we have to basically play by those rules this year.
Now, what you're referring to, obviously, is the start of the season being later, the roster size, the idea that you have to have a 16 and 17-year-old on the roster, the fact that there's only 4 teams from each conference making the playoffs. Was there anything out of those 12 points that wasn't released by the league at this point?
No, everything has been released, Brian. I mean, it all came out, and those 12 points were the ones that now have been placed into our Constitution and are actually part of that Constitution now in our playing rules and what have you. So, and, just to kind of clarify that, Brian, the idea of this was, as John Grisdale stated today to the members here, that, through the tough economy and everything right now, a few years ago the league was doing very, very well. The economy was good, and we didn't take into consideration the downturn of the economy, and consequently all the teams, or most of the teams in the league at least, are suffering at the gate and as well as financially. So as a committee, we thought we had to kind of make some changes here and lead the way in junior hockey to make some changes that maybe don't appear to start with as very popular, but certainly we had in mind that every team, if these are implemented and work the way we hope they will save a lot of money by them and further enhance our league's reputation as well.
Now, I know you were a member of that steering committee, and I mean, obviously, you waved the small market franchise flag being with the Centennials here. Do you find that it's a divide on who is really protesting these changes? Is it some small market teams? Is it some big market teams? Or is it sort of a consensus among the two?
Well, I think, Brian, when it was called for a vote by all the governors and, all points passed. So, I mean, by general consensus of the governors, it was what we had to do. And certainly, you're right in what you're saying there, that some of the small market teams feel that perhaps only 4 teams making the playoffs is a detriment to them. And some of the larger market teams figure that maybe, we're trying to take money away from them. But I think overall, and we spent a lot of time on it today, going through everything, that, and I think when it was all said and done, everybody understands it's in place for this year. We're going to have to play by those rules, and let's get on with it and see where we're at next year at this time.
Is it a very similar situation to when that standards document was instituted a year ago, whereas a lot of people were protesting about it and didn't like some parts of it but liked other parts of it, and now after a year with that document, you look at it and say, okay, this might have been for the benefit of the league and the game?
You're exactly right in what you're saying there, Brian, and us being one of the teams last year that weren't very happy with the standards document, and the committee that was set up there did change several of those points in there so that the smaller market teams could comply, and I think it was stated yesterday and today that the smaller market teams certainly did comply with all the points in there, and for the most part it has been a betterment for the league. And the only difference this year is, as the steering committee, we made those points earlier so that it was brought to the governors prior to the AGM, so because last year it lasted for well over a day just going through that standards document. So we basically had everything in place this year, and it was just a matter of answering any questions and uncertainties amongst the governors and coaches of the league.
Well, and with everything that's gone down, I guess, in the last little while in regards to the Quesnel franchise and the relocation there to Chilliwack, and the fact that all of these rule changes, as it relates to roster and everything else, have already all come out of the woodwork, does it make the AGM a little anticlimactic?
Well, yesterday, and I've been to a lot of the AGMs, yesterday was probably the smoothest day that I've ever sat in on one of these meetings. So, it certainly, went well, and we're bogged down a little bit today on some of the points, but I think it's in light of what's happened over the last couple of months, it's I think what it does though is it's stating that everything is on the right track here for a real good season, being our 50th season, the BC Hockey League this year, and there's lots of plans to really go after that in a big way for all the teams to hopefully be able to recover some of their finances.
Now, you mentioned obviously that you've been to a lot of these meetings, and the coaches are there too, and general managers, depending on if they have a separate person in each of those roles. Do you find that this is officially the kickoff now to the 2011-12 season in terms of transactions and looking ahead and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I really think so. I think everybody understands where we're at and what the rules are, and there will be some other rule changes and what have you that come out of the BC Hockey Annual General Meeting in Penticton and Canadian Amateur Hockey or Hockey Canada's General Meeting. But for the most part, we're pointed in the direction of getting on with it now, and it's well underway now, Brian.
Do you think that a lot of the trades that we'll see in the next month or 6 weeks or 2 months are sort of the seeds are sown at this point at the AGM once you get everybody together at once?
Well, with some of the new rules, especially with our club there, we don't have a lot of spots open, and I don't anticipate nearly the player movement that we've had over the last couple of years prior to the season.
You mean overall?
Overall, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I guess with the 21-man roster, and you look at the 16 and 17-year-old being, implemented that you have to have one on your roster, I guess it might restrict some players a little bit. And this is sort of the sentiment I get, Brian, when I talk to fans, and you probably can either echo the same sentiment, but it seems like there might be some of those 1991-born players, the 20-year-olds, on the outside looking in terms of some of the rosters around the league.
Well, I think that's going to be the case in a lot of teams that with the lesser amount of players on your roster, that they really have to look at years down the road, much as we did last year, went with a younger team and hopefully developing those players to play on our hockey club for 3 or 4 years, and I think a lot of the teams are going to have to look at that same type of system that we employed and get on with it.
Well, and we know that obviously here in Merritt, that's the boat we're in, that there's too many 20-year-olds already at this point. For the fans here in Merritt, what's the one message that you could take away from the AGM that would probably be of importance to the fans in our community?
Well, as I said before, every team in the league is suffering, and financially and at the gate and what have you. And I think this year is going to be a real exciting year for all the fans in the BC Hockey League. The league itself is going to put together some sort of a Hall of Fame for some of the players that have excelled in our league. So I think there will be league announcements, on a rapid basis, starting from after the GM or after the AGM and on throughout the year. So I think it's going to be an exciting year, and we're going to have some good young players in the league and on our Merritt Centennial Hockey Club, and I think it's just going to be a real upbeat year this year, Brian.
Now, you mentioned about us honoring some great players. Now, you may not be able to give away any sort of inside scoop here, but do you think that there will be representation from the Merritt Centennials as the longest continuously run franchise?
Well, there's certainly that I'm sure will be mentioned throughout the year as far as what's, as far as player recognition and that. I think to start with, they may do 5, kind of elite players that have gone through the BC Hockey League and kind of name them, and then this may continue on, and we may in fact set something up from that point to recognize different people in the league. I
mean, and obviously we can throw out names, I would think, like a Brett Hall or a Paul Correa or that type of player.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, well, Brian, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're right in the middle of the meetings right now. Before I let you run, anything else that you wanted to add before we get to the Centennials AGM coming up on Tuesday?
Well, no, that's a good point, Brian, we just want as many people to come out to that AGM as we can get. It's important for the hockey club to, have participation and as many people out with their opinions on things concerning the Merritt Centennials as we can get. So it'd be great on Tuesday night to see a full mezzanine and get input of the fans here in Merritt.
One thing before I forget, too, I wanted to touch on scheduling before I let you go. The fact that it's now in the league's hands, have they given you any indication on when that might be all hashed out?
The schedule will be probably done by the end of June. We have a format now as to what is going to happen with half interlock and the teams that we will be playing in the interior. So it's as balanced a schedule as we've had in a long time, Brian, and it's going to foster some real good rivalries, I think.
So we still got to wait 5 weeks for it.
Well, to get the official schedule, we'll have an idea. We basically know who we're playing, how many times, and what have you, but we don't have it scheduled yet.
Right, dates and that kind of thing.
Yep.
All right. Well, Brian, thanks so much for this, and we'll talk to you again, I would think, sometime early next week.